Make the impossible possible, One Man's Crusade to Inspire Others to Dream Bigger and Achieve the Extraordinary by Bill Strickland is the memoir of a man who turned his life around through the transformative power of art, mentorship, and an unshakable belief in human potential. Strickland's story begins in the struggling neighborhoods of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he grew up amidst poverty, racial segregation, and limited expectations. Yet in those seemingly bleak surroundings, a single encounter with a high school ceramics teacher, Frank Ross, changed the course of his life. That moment, when he first shaped clay on a potter's wheel, sparked a passion that would carry him beyond the limits imposed by his environment. Strickland's narrative unfolds with a tone of deep humility and fierce conviction, revealing how a young man from the inner city refused to accept the boundaries set by circumstance. He describes the moment he walked into Ross's classroom as stepping into a different world, one filled with sunlight, order, and purpose. That sanctuary offered a vision of what life could be, and Ross's quiet, unwavering mentorship gave Strickland the confidence to believe in his own potential. That early exposure to beauty, structure, and expectation laid the foundation for everything he would go on to build. After graduating from the University of Pittsburgh, Strickland didn't forget where he came from. He returned to his community, determined to replicate the sense of possibility he had found in the ceramic studio. With almost no money but a clear vision, he founded the Manchester Craftsmen's Guild, a small arts program for at-risk youth. It began in a decaying building, with second-hand furniture and makeshift supplies, but it was grounded in the belief that environment shapes mindset. Strickland insisted on sunlight, cleanliness, and dignity. Elements he considered essential for inspiring excellence. As the Manchester Craftsmen's Guild grew, so did Strickland's understanding of what people need to thrive. He expanded the organization to include Bidwell Training Center, offering vocational programs for adults seeking to escape cycles of unemployment and despair. These weren't cookie-cutter solutions, the programs were meticulously designed in partnership with leading industries, combining technical training with an atmosphere of respect and encouragement. Strickland's model challenged the idea that people in poor neighborhoods needed less. He argued they needed more beauty, more inspiration, more belief in their worth. Strickland's approach defies many of the traditional rules of philanthropy and social work. He doesn't rely heavily on bureaucracy or top-down control. He leads with vision, trusting intuition and relationships more than formal systems. His story is filled with examples of partnerships forged through heartfelt conversation and shared values, rather than grant proposals or strategic plans. He often walked into boardrooms and corporate offices with little more than a dream and a portfolio of student art, and walked out with funding, mentorship, or collaboration. The narrative is not without struggle. Strickland speaks candidly about the obstacles he faced, from funding shortages to skepticism, to burnout. At times, he doubted his own capacity to carry the weight of his vision. But he also shares the strategies he used to keep going, returning to the potter's wheel for clarity, seeking out mentors, and recommitting to the original source of his inspiration. His resilience is not portrayed as superhuman, but rather as a consequence of purpose and connection. One of the most powerful threads in the book is the theme of beauty as a human right. Strickland makes the case that beauty, whether in the form of jazz music, a painting, or a well-lit room, is not a luxury, but a necessity. He believes that when people are surrounded by beauty, they begin to believe in the possibility of their own lives. The institutions he builds are as much art spaces as they are educational facilities. Music plays in the hallways, students dine on gourmet meals, and classrooms are filled with warmth and light. Strickland also explores the intersection of race, poverty, and opportunity with nuance and honesty. While his work is deeply rooted in serving marginalized communities, he resists stereotypes and refuses to define people by their hardships. Instead, he celebrates talent, curiosity, and determination. Qualities he believes exist in abundance in every community, waiting to be activated. His institutions are designed to uncover and nurture that latent potential. In the second half of the book, Strickland expands his vision beyond Pittsburgh. He begins to share his model with other cities, partnering with leaders who see the potential to replicate the Manchester Bidwell model. He describes the challenges of scaling a deeply personal and values-driven organization, but also the thrill of seeing it take root elsewhere. These chapters offer insights into leadership, partnership, and the balance between staying true to one's vision and adapting to new contexts. Strickland's voice remains grounded and authentic throughout. He does not romanticize his journey, nor does he position himself as a savior. Instead, he repeatedly credits his mentors, his students, and the artists and musicians who gave his life meaning. He speaks of himself as a conduit, someone lucky enough to have seen what is possible and compelled to share it with others. His humility adds depth and credibility to his message. The book is not only a memoir but also a call to action. Strickland urges readers to examine their own communities, to look for places where beauty and opportunity are missing, and to do something about it. He believes that big dreams are not the domain of the privileged, they belong to everyone. He offers a vision of leadership that is empathetic, bold, and deeply human, one that asks more of us because it believes more is possible. Strickland also discusses the role of imagination in creating change. He challenges the reader to picture a world where every child grows up surrounded by inspiration, where vocational training is prestigious, where the arts are central to education, and where struggling communities are revitalized not through punishment, but through purpose. His story becomes an invitation to reimagine what society could be if we led with creativity and compassion. By the end of the book, it's clear that Strickland's legacy lies not just in the buildings he has created, but in the ripple effect of belief he has spread. Students who once felt invisible have gone on to become artists, entrepreneurs, and leaders. Lives have been reshaped not by massive policy shifts, but by one man's insistence that people deserve more than survival, they deserve to thrive. Ultimately, Make the Impossible Possible is a testament to what can happen when one person refuses to accept the status quo. It is a story of vision, of faith in humanity, and of the daily, quiet revolution that begins when someone decides to believe in others, and by doing so, helps them believe in themselves. Strickland doesn't just share a path, he lights one. And in doing so, he invites all of us to walk it with purpose.